Hey there, all you cool cats and kittens. This is Matt Hicks calling in on the Chris Reynolds personal injury attorney at law anchor call-in line. I just wanted to get your thoughts on the president waffling, potentially invoking the Insurrection Act, potentially not, and how that could possibly play out in states where the governors just flatly reject federal assistance. And you can't see it because it's a phone call, but I did air quotes around assistance. Anyway, thank you for taking my call. Hashtag Laser Legend.
So
Thank you, Laser Legend Matt Hicks.
I actually did, since I now screen these to make sure that we don't get any inappropriate calls, I listened to this earlier, so I actually have an answer already keyed up for this one. Whenever you're looking at the states that are going to be saying, no, we don't want the military, we don't want your government assistance, as you put it in your thing. Right. The government assistance. The answer from the federal government is going to be, okay, well, you don't have to accept the military presence. You don't have to accept this, but you will get no federal bailout money to help you fix the cities that are harmed during the riots, because you know all of them are going to ask for it.
Yep.
Every one of them are going to ask for it. So if you don't want the government assistance, you're not going to get the government assistance, if that makes sense. And states like California will buckle. States like New York will buckle. States like, well, you have the list already in your mind. They are going to buckle and take the militarized forces because they know that they are going to ask the government for money to help bail them out, to give everybody money to help rebuild.
And that's the thing. They control the purse strings, so yeah, they don't have to take it, but they can. Now, here's the thing. The Insurrection Act is specifically written in such a way, it's supposed to be that the military is used if the states have exhausted all other options and all of their means to do so. We are not even close to being in that kind of a situation. There have been some protests, and there have been some riots that, again, have come about as a direct result of how the police have handled this. And there's been some looting that, again, has come about as a direct result of how the police have neglected the entire rest of the city so that they can treat this protest over in this one section of the city like a war zone. We've been, and that's the situation we're in. We're not in a situation where the states are at their last, and the states are going to crumble if someone doesn't step in and save them at the last minute. That's what the Insurrection Act was supposedly for. It was not for the president to militarize the country because he doesn't like this type of protest. Which is, let's be clear, that's what this is. This is the same president that was fine with the pro-gun protests because they were people that were supporting him, for the most part. Not all, but for the most part. For the most part. He was fine with the anti-lockdown protest to some extent. But this one, protesting police brutality, Trump loves police brutality. I mean, he's called for the police to be brutal. He's told the police to be rough on people that they're arresting. He's told the police to rough up people at his rallies. This is what he likes. He likes the police to be rough on people because of his position, he knows they'll never touch him. So he doesn't care how they treat everyone else. Because he's incredibly wealthy and powerful, he doesn't need the police. He has his own security. So how they treat us doesn't matter as long as he keeps us away from him and people like him. That's all he cares about. And so that's the situation we're in right now. And yeah, no, that's what happens. He controls the purse strings and is going to militarize the entire country and turn our neighborhoods into war zones and occupied regions whenever people do something he doesn't like.
Now, last night, I was in a completely separate text message conversation with personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds, attorney at law. And this is a legitimate word-for-word text that he sent me. And I thought that it was very apropos for this question. States have ceded power to the executive branch for decades in return for money. The federal government might be as powerful as it's ever been. That is 100% true. We are on the brink of a revolution. If Trump deploys the military to states, it will explode in a way no one is in control anymore. It would be a civil war. In another time, Trump wouldn't do as much harm. We got him at the worst time. This might honestly be worse than if he was president during a world war. And this is 100% true. Everything that has been leading up to George Floyd was a powder keg waiting to blow.
Yep.
If you just take a look at 2020. We start out with impeachments. I can't remember why, but for some reason we were on the brink of World War III. The Democratic primaries were going
with
on.
North Korea. Yeah.
I was like, I remember that we were on the brink, but I don't remember why, because 2020, like, I am glad I'm not going to have to study 2020 in the history books later, because that chapter is going to be an entire book.
Well, and now Yellowstone is starting to have
right, earthquakes,
tremors.
Yeah. Then you get COVID. They locked up everybody. The division in the country is at its all-time highest. You lock everybody into their homes for months. You start seeing, like, everybody's watching the news. Everybody's at home. They don't have anything else to do.
Yep.
You see the murder of Ahmaud Arbery.
Yep.
You see the murder of Breonna Taylor.
Yep.
You see the murder, and then you see the murder of George Floyd, and people are sick. They've got cabin fever, and then they are just sick and tired of the police brutality. Duncan Lemp. I forgot Duncan Lemp.
Duncan Lemp, yeah.
Because never forget Duncan Lemp.
Nope.
They got sick and tired of it. They see this murder happen, and it just all boiled over. Like somebody lit that fuse and it blew up. And
there
now,
was no stopping it.
Instead of trying to put out the fire, Trump is legitimately throwing more gunpowder into it to ignite it even more. And granted, I know this is a political move because he thinks it's going to get him reelected. And honestly, he's probably right.
It may very well.
Probably
we don't know.
Right. Of course, that's unless you vote for Jorgensen Cohen.
Cohen.
Right now, we are at a time where all of this could have been predicted by people much smarter than I am.
I mean, the murder hornets, like, I think some of this stuff just couldn't be predicted.
Well, murder hornets, no. Nobody would have predicted murder hornets. But everything, like the riots could have been predicted, because you got everybody at a divisive point. Then you locked them in their own houses for months.
That's true.
And you get cabin fever, and
we're all watching the same thing over and over again. Yeah.
Over and over again. You're scrolling Facebook and you're seeing Breonna Taylor. You're seeing Duncan Lemp. You're seeing Ahmaud Arbery. Then you see George Floyd, and it's just like, okay, when is enough enough?
Yep.
And this happens.
That's an excellent point. And who worse to have in office than a true reactionary? Because for all of the terrible things about a Joe Biden or a Hillary Clinton, and we are certainly not saying that they are good by any stretch. There are times when they are considerably worse than Trump would be on a given subject. But on something like this, he's a reactionary. And it is inarguable that this is worse. This specific thing is worse because Trump is president compared to a Biden or a Hillary. Not much worse, but worse. Not worse enough where they would be a better option, because again, then they're worse on other things. I mean, they basically just amount to bad things. But on this specific subject, having someone who wants to use the military to, protect the streets, whatever that means to him, this is not going to be good.